November 18th would be Steve Scheibel's 66th birthday, born 1957, died 2019, way too early. Our relationship that started in 1985 when he moved to Rochester to become a fellow trainee in our infectious diseases unit at Strong. And we met then, became good friends, came out to each other, and became friends both socially and professionally, and ended up co-founding Community Health Network, the AIDS clinic, in 1989. He understood HIV, and that almost to the point where he could predict the future. And he knew very early on that this would require combinations of drugs, not just single drugs, but combinations of drugs to really manage effectively. And in fact, we came up with a number of combinations over the years where, before the drug AZT was introduced in 1987, we were using combinations of drugs that were available, including the drug alpha interferon, which is an injection, and things like acyclovir, the drug that's been used for herpes for many years. I remember another time when this interferon drug that was an injection wasn't tolerated well by patients. They got sick from it, from the injections, and he thought about how to do another way of giving the drug and came up with the sublingual, meaning under the tongue, where you can get it in there, it would go into your system and maybe be better tolerated than giving it by injection. He did it in communion wafers and sent one of our residents out to source communion wafers. The resident was equally enterprising and had met up with a priest not long before that. And let's just say, got 2 large boxes of communion wafers for the cause. It was not only a medical and healthcare thing, but it was spiritual for a lot of people, giving your medicine and a communion wafer. But that was Scheibel. A lot of the ideas that Scheibel talked about in the 1980s were finally promoted and had science behind them 30 years later. Left Rochester in 1993 and moved to San Francisco, where he had an equally illustrious career. Actually started by seeing patients at his apartment, in his kitchen, and moved there with another colleague, Dr. Brad Saget, and the two of them saw patients in Steve's kitchen, called it the kitchen clinic. But what was remarkable about that was the work they were doing there. And they were actually studying the patients in addition to treating them in the kitchen clinic. Somebody sent me a note when he died and called us brothers in arms, which I thought was pretty appropriate, two people joined together at the hip, fighting the same battle. Miss him, miss what he would have accomplished, but in his 62 years, accomplished a great deal and made a huge difference for patients. Here's his letter to the community from the Empty Closet, the gay newspaper, in February 1993. It's a long letter. He's thanking people for supporting our efforts at Community Health Network. We're talking about the AIDS epidemic, but he's saying that got spiritual at a point and talked about, especially want to thank my patients, both alive and those who have passed into spirit, for the glimpse into their lives, their values, comments, appreciation, and concern, which have assisted me into becoming a better healer. I wish continued health of my patients, and I will think of them often as I enter into another phase of my life and career. Sincerely, Stephen Scheibel. The other thing we wanted to do was to create a health organization that outlived us. And that would be Trillium Health. And Stephen, we did it.